welcome to CC Writes. My name is CC Lepke, and today I am finishing up the script for my Dungeons & Dragons campaign that I'm making for my best friend, and I'm also going to put a little bit of focus today in writing in divine beings into the story that I've come up with. Up to now I just have the human level of it, so I just want to add some layers on top of it so that I get a nice well-rounded story that's fun to read or fun to go through as they're playing. So I'm going to start out with just finishing up. I have 2 scenes, I think, that I need to complete. And then after I'm done with that, I'll move on to adding in the divine characters. Okay, so it looks like I already started on this one a little bit last time. So for some of these, rather than have like set dialogue, I pick out a few things and then list out the things that that particular character will know. And that's more for like the mob characters, the ones that aren't really all that important to the story, but the characters might want to, or my friends might want to try and interact with as they go along. So I'll come up with a few things for them to say. Hello. You know, I'm pretty tired too. It's been a really long day. I'm at least happy that I get to get in a little bit of writing. I haven't been doing much of it this week. I am writing a D&D campaign for my best friend. She's never played Dungeons & Dragons before, and I've done it a few times, and I've made one campaign for my family. And so I thought I'd come up with a beginner's campaign for her to go through and try to do it in a way that makes it fun for her so she wants to keep playing. I'm doing it based off of the Trojan War, and so I have it set up so that she will be one of the Greek invaders of Troy. And so then she has to work out like all the little things to try and tear down the city and get inside Troy and all of that kind of stuff. She really likes Greek history stuff, and so I thought it would be really fun for her if I based it on that. Plus I'm obsessed with the Trojan War. I just love all of the classical stories of the heroes from then. Fun and sweet. Yeah, I mean, she doesn't usually seem all that interested in playing stuff like this, and so the fact that she showed any interest at all, and I'll get somebody that I can play with, is really fun for me. I'm excited to try and get her to play and keep playing with me. You've never played D&D? I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. Well, I mean, I like a lot of games where, you know, there's storytelling involved at all. And this is one of the best ones that you have, because it's basically like you don't even really have to follow the rules for D&D. You just sort of like, if a dungeon master wants to, they can just make it whatever they want it to be, and it just has the rules there so that you can have like a guide just in case you need a little bit of help. They even have, this is really cool, so the Dungeon Master's Guide that they have is basically just this like huge manual for how to tell a story, and especially like how to do world building and stuff like that. I had never like sat and gone through much of it before, but after looking through it while I was coming up with this one, I had so much fun, because like it's such practical advice that they have just to help people learn how to tell a story well enough that everybody can have fun. Honestly, like they should teach the Dungeon Master's Guide in English classes in college. Yeah, I really love writing stories too. I mean, I've made a career out of it, so obviously I like it, but it's always fun seeing all of the different resources that you can get for that sort of thing. And writing stories is just fun because it's like there are so many things in life that have all of these different rules for whether or not you can or can't do something, and it's fun to just like come up with ways that the rules of reality can be broken in such a way that it can still be believable to the people who read it, or to just completely get rid of restrictions at all. I love the wish fulfillment and the fantasy and the whole feeling of, having something other, so that you're not really trapped or hemmed in by the world around you. Need to watch more anime. I really like watching anime a lot. My favorite is probably, I like One Punch Man and Mob Psycho 100. I think they're two of the funniest, most well-written anime that I've seen in a long time. But I also like a lot of ones that are very like shoujo type stuff, the girly ones based on relationships and all that kind of stuff. I always find those a lot of fun as well. Ooh, and Grimgar of Ash and Illusion. That's probably one of the most beautiful ones I've ever seen. Like, the art in it is fantastic. Anime, one of the things that I really love about anime is that they take all of these different writing tropes, and they have this way of like constantly trying to do the exact same trope as everyone else but flipping it on its head. And so you get a lot of these like really interesting stories out of the same basic concept, and that's so much fun. Like, you have the idea of the isekai, which is somebody basically like gets hit by a truck or something, and then they get sent to another fantasy world where there's magic and all of this kind of stuff, and they end up becoming this overpowered person because of their knowledge of our world. And one of my favorite ones of that is where somebody took that idea but did something completely weird with it, to where they sent the person into the other world as a slime, and then that slime ends up becoming overpowered. But rather than like use it to become the most powerful person ever, he ends up starting to build his own like society there, which I think is just a hilarious idea. That one's called That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. So now I've gotten all of the basic dialogue for the story and the flavor text. What I want to work on now is getting more of a divine element into the story. In the Odyssey, not the Odyssey, in the Trojan War, was that the Iliad? Anyway, in the Trojan War, the basis of it was that the gods were all fighting. Basically, it started out as a beauty contest and turned into a world war. So the idea of the original story was that, the gods had all taken different sides, and they were fighting either for the Trojans or against the Trojans. And what I want to do is make them a little bit more active in the story. And to do that, I think I need to have a better idea of which gods and goddesses were fighting on the side of Troy and which were fighting on the side of Greece. That way I know how to involve them a little bit better. For that, I need my favorite tool, which is Wikipedia. This annoys me. They always call her the most beautiful of all women, but it was actually, she was the most desirable of all women, which may seem like the same thing, but it's definitely not. That's what a classic education will get me. Semantics. I like the idea of Hera and Athena being involved. I don't have much to do with Poseidon. I've always liked Hermes. He's in a lot of different stories, but I think it should be fun to include him. And Hephaestus, that's a good one to have. And Apollo, Artemis, Ares, and Aphrodite. Yeah, those are all good ones for that side as well. Okay, now the question is, how do I want them to be involved? Aphrodite is obviously going to be surrounding more Paris and Helen. Apollo will be more centered around his temple and specifically Cassandra. It's kind of an interesting concept. They said in here modern scholars don't think that it's true, but they believe that there may have been a matriarchal society that worshipped Hera as their great goddess, or possibly as a monotheistic, like the only goddess, turning her into Zeus's spouse, and her jealousy. Her resistance to the conquest of Zeus is rendered as Hera's jealousy, the main theme of literary anecdotes that undercut her ancient cult. And so, framing her as the goddess of marriage and as Zeus's wife and all of these sort of things were to take away the power that she had. Yeah, and it says the claim is generally rejected by modern scholars as insufficiently evidenced, but that doesn't matter when you're writing a story. I think that'd be an interesting basis for a story. Well, I'm going through all of these different Greek gods and goddesses to figure out how I'm going to include them in the Dungeons and Dragons campaign that I'm writing. I've figured out a few of them for how I can put them in. So right now I'm working on Hera, and I think that based on everything that I've read about her here, I'm going to put her mainly around the city. Right now I'm just doing the first part of the campaign, so I don't need all of them to be in there at once. I just need a start of inserting the idea that the gods and goddesses are going to be involved in the story somewhat. Okay, so I think I have an idea of what I want them to do, and that will give me an idea of where I can place them in the overarching story. So I think I have a good way to add in the gods and goddesses there. I also left room for them to not be in there at all, depending on what my friends choose. And I've left in my notes so that I can go back through and adjust things as I need. I also think I want one other spot in here where they can come across a god or goddess outside of that little scene that I wrote. I think that would be fun. So I got two instances where they have the opportunity to interact with the gods. I also left in the opportunity where if they wanted to, they could just go on all-out war with the gods throughout the story and just completely ignore the earthly war going on between the Greeks and Trojans, because I like giving people opportunity. And because I can't guarantee my best friend won't push things in that direction either way. Yeah, I think that this should be plenty of stuff that I can use for just one day of playing. And then it also gives me the opportunity for later on building onto the story. And I can just write those as I go along as well. Thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed our time together. And if you want more from me, don't forget that you can check me out on Twitch and Twitter. There are links in the description below. And I will see you later.